Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. It's Friday. You know what that means.
Front Office Friday! We're back edition.
Let's go. We're back. Hopefully. I hope. Figures. I literally just got reconnected like 30 minutes ago. So we're back. If anybody was following over at Lakers Nation, it has been a journey over the last few days in order to get back online. I've had 4 different texts out to try to figure out what was going on. Honestly, I don't even know that it's completely fixed at this point, but fingers crossed, hopefully nothing blows up and we're good to go here.
Everybody's blaming Studio Stu in the chat. Stu ate the internet wires.
It may have been. They were trying all of this techie stuff, right, to figure out what was going on. And it wasn't even that it was totally out. It was that it kept dropping out, and then they took it totally out. I was completely dead in the water all day yesterday. And they ultimately landed on, well, there's actually a problem with the line running under the ground from the street up to your house. And so they were working on fixing it. So it may have been Stu. Maybe he went out there and got a hold of things. I don't know.
Might have. Hey, guys, I'll tell you, too. I know there was some allegations being thrown around, but we'll talk Celtics Cavs. We're gonna get into it because we did miss after that, but it was not intentional. Trust me, I can tell you all. I know no one who panics more when he can't get to do his job than my buddy here. Like, he does not like.
I had a rough night.
I know you were having a rough couple days there, and it was not a good time for Trevor. So, but yes, for anybody wondering, I am going to make him talk Celtics Cavs for a couple minutes here. We've got a lot of stuff to catch up on. Start dropping your questions in the chat. We'll pull as many of them as we can. Full disclosure, I have family in town, so this is not going to be like an extra long show today. But we wanted to make sure, since Trevor he at least has internet right now, knock on wood, that we're going to be okay, and we'll make it work as best we can.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And for those wondering, Studio Stu right now is on the other side of the camera staring me down. So I'm pretty sure that's an admission of guilt.
Yeah, that's it. He did do it. We knew it. We knew it was him. So
he did do it.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk. We'll talk Celtics Cavs briefly here, and then we'll get into a couple more topics. I said this at the time. I don't think this by all means answers every question we have about both teams, but I think the question that was answered is the Cavs are really, really good. They're was legit. Not just getting fat on bad teams. Like, they are excellent. I loved that when they got way behind, they didn't roll over. They fought back. And I think for Boston, this did serve notice a little bit. Hey, we're still the champs. We're still the team to beat, right? Like, you're going to have to beat us and knock us off to win. So I think both teams really kind of stepped up, and maybe they answered those questions about it. But yeah, it was a great game. Great time. They play again in like a week, so we're gonna get another answer of it there. And I'll say this too: Porzingis, close. Like, he's got assigned to the G League. He did a practice with the main Celtics. The practice was in Boston. Kind of cool. Xavier Tillman went with him to do stuff. We did talk about that on the show already, but it sounds like Porzingis maybe before Christmas we might see him, and that was kind of the earliest possible point we thought. But yeah, man, it's good news for those teams, and I promise I'm not rubbing salt in the wound, but it's good for the Eastern Conference that Orlando has continued to stack some of these wins without Paolo Banchero, because it does give it, at least now there's 4 legit teams in the East, with the Knicks also in that mix with Boston, Cleveland, Orlando, and New York.
We needed Orlando to beat the other West teams. We need East teams to start winning. Yes, win against the other. You messed it up against the other West teams. Keith, not the Lakers, but that was the Lakers' own fault. I'm going to spend plenty of time talking about that on
we won't
for Lakers Nation, but that was not on Orlando. That was on the Lakers for saying, "Here you go, here's a win." No, we don't want it. You take it. They're too kind. That's what the problem.
Good for the Magic for taking it, right? Like, great shot by Franz at the end of the game. I mean, Franz is, holy cow, he's gone to a whole new level without Paolo. And now it's funny because I just said this on a radio appearance here in Florida this morning. I said to someone, it might be a little bumpy when Paolo gets back. It is not as easy to just hey, now we got our guy back. Let's go. It's the same thing for Boston when Porzingis gets back. It can sometimes take a couple of games to really integrate because everybody has to adjust a little bit. That's not a bad thing, but I don't want people to go nuts if like Orlando loses a game or two when Paolo gets back and be like, oh no, like were they better off without him? They're not better off without him. It's just everybody is now hierarchy is shifting again. And that's all it is. But I mean, we needed teams in the East that weren't Boston and Cleveland to turn it around and start winning games. And it has started to happen, which is a good thing for the balance of the conferences.
And if you've seen, Keith, there's a story out this morning that there's a Western Conference exec that is pushing to do away with conferences and fix this mess
when expansion comes.
When expansion comes, and I don't know that they will, but here's somebody.
Holy cow, that was timely.
Just happened to right now, as I said that, was putting that in the chat. When expansion comes, trying to get rid of conferences. Yeah, I mean, if they were to do it, that would be the time to do it. But the reason why they haven't done it in the past is the travel, and I don't know that problem is solved. At this point, it's not like we have teleporters right now or anything like that. You still have to travel, so that's the challenge for it. But maybe it's something the league will consider looking at, just because it has been for 2 decades now. It's been a disadvantage to be a Western Conference team compared to an Eastern Conference team. And
we've talked about on the show before, part of what happens in the West too, when there's usually about 4 teams a year that aren't very good because they're just how it goes. But when those teams get cycled down, they get way cycled down because they get hammered by the other West teams. So for example, Utah this year, but Utah's going to get a really good high draft pick. They're going to add a talented guy to a roster that's not as bad as it looks because they're just not ready to compete. Then you add a good high draft pick, a couple years of growth, and now all of a sudden they're really good. They're beating up and they're better than maybe like the Wizards, for example, who don't get pushed quite as far down with that. But it's just that's the cycle we're in. But as you said, we're 2 decades into this. It's really been since right around the 2000s, right around the turn of the century, because the 80s and 90s were a little bit heavier with East teams.
For sure.
So it's just,
let me
20 years, that's a long time to be in a cycle like this.
Right. Let me ask you this from an analytics perspective. We would typically say, well, it's going to flip at some point. It's going to, right. I mean, like if you're flipping a quarter and it comes up heads 10 times in a row, it's not that heads is weighted heavier than tails or something like that, that ultimately, if you do it enough, it's going to even out. Is there a reason for this, or do you think it just naturally will correct and it'll flip back to the Eastern Conference at some point?
I think 2 reasons are, one, what I touched on, right? The West teams, when they do get pushed down, they get pushed way down, so they get even better picks. So that's part of it. I think the other thing, the West teams have just been better run than a lot of the East teams for a long time. You had a whole collection of teams in the East, Orlando for a while, Washington, Charlotte, Chicago, Atlanta, just make the playoffs, right? That's all we want, just be in the playoffs. Where in the West, you had teams that were like, hey, we're gonna rip this down to its studs. We're going to take our lumps for a couple years, and then we're going to build it right back up and try to be really, really good. And the West teams have generally, if you look at it across the board, have drafted really well. They've drafted to some extent better than some of the East teams. Where the East, it's kind of really for these last 2 decades, it's been like this consolidation of Boston, New York, Philly, Miami. Like it's kind of been those 4. Yeah. And then everybody else in the East, if you kind of go through that period. And Milwaukee obviously had their rise as Giannis came along. And then everybody else just kind of been, they're okay. Like they have their moments here and there. But I think it also hurts in the East. Their second biggest city in the East, Chicago, has never been, outside of the Jordan era, except for blips here and there, they've never been the power. Where in the West, LA, Dallas, Golden State, like they have consistently over, again, the last 20 years been in the mix as very good teams. So it's, you just got to kind of get it right. I'm with you. I think it will flip back eventually, but it's just going to take some time. I will say this too. thank God we got rid of some of the bad ownership groups in the East. And now it seems like we're moving in a direction where, all right, maybe this can start to move in a direction where it is, all right, hey, let's do things a little bit better in the way. To go back to the original topic, I'm with you. We haven't fixed the travel issues. Nobody wants Miami and Portland playing each other in a first round playoff series,
right?
Because the travel's not good. But I also you're flying on private jets. I realize the travel is you're still traveling. There is still jet lag, but it's not like it's the 1960s and these guys are taking trains and buses. We're
they're not flying coach.
We can
Let's
make
say
this
that.
work. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're not. No. Donovan Klingon's not going to be crammed into the middle seat in coach, dealing with crying babies and stuff. We can find a way forward with this. And I've said that, right? Expansion is the time. You want to try something new. You want to get funky with divisions or get rid of them and do whatever you want. Then now's the time. Figure it out, make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go.
This is a good point. 2-3-2 might have to come back.
Yeah,
I don't like the 2-3-2 format.
Me either.
It's it gives the lower seed way too much of an advantage if they win one of the first two, and I don't really like that. So, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Let's see. Grindhards, can LA keep connect for past the AD era? Sure. Why not?
Yeah,
I mean, he's a rookie.
He's on a rookie scale deal. Should be. Yeah, there's no reason he shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right now I'd say he is obviously LeBron's not getting traded. AD's not getting traded. I would say solely because he's been so productive on a rookie deal. He's the next least likely to be traded guy on the team.
Yeah.
Because he
probably has the most value.
Yeah. Because you're getting the value per salary is just so incredible right now that that's why these rookie deals and hitting on your first round draft picks are so important. You hit on a second round pick, that's like finding the leprechaun's pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
For sure.
That's pretty rare that those happen. That's like one or two per draft. But you nail your first round picks, even like a Wembanyama, you're returning so much surplus value that it's you have to nail it there.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're able to hit on those draft picks, and this is why you're going to see more and more teams that are focused on draft capital, focused on adding picks, focused on developing players, because it's such an advantage if you hit on draft picks right now, especially with the way the salary structures are around the NBA. You got to do it, and if you do that, then you're in pretty good shape. All right, Keith, let's
the Suns too, right? Sorry, just to
go ahead.
They're going through it right now because they don't have Durant and Beal, but it looks like they hit on the Don and Iguodala picks. Oh, so my guy, right? So but hitting on those guys is huge for them because that's long term, not just rolling over minimum spots every year. That's long term, good value guys, and you need that if you're going to be super expensive on the top end. And that's where the Lakers are. The Lakers needed Connect to be good. And there, I loved LeBron's. LeBron is he doesn't say anything without meaning to say it in a certain way. And I loved his front office didn't do anything. The 16 other teams screwed up, or however he phrased that.
He said they effed up, but he didn't say effed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So that was All-Star changes. We want to talk about that?
Sure. Yeah. Let's talk about changes. So the All-Star game, they're going to change it to a tournament format. It sounds like it's still going to be almost kind of schoolyard style picking teams.
It seems like it. Yeah.
So, but they're going to take the 24 All-Stars, divide them up into 3 teams, and then take the Rising Stars team.
Yes.
Yeah. So 3 teams of 8, and then they're going to take the Rising Stars. Right. Plus the Rising Stars. So you're going to have a 4-team tournament essentially. I guess, Keith, my thing is that is this a short-term fix or is this a long-term fix? Does this result in and if it's a short-term fix, or even if it falls flat year 1, then what do they do? I don't know, but maybe this does inject some life into the All-Star game. You've got let's say you've got, especially I think the All-Stars, you're going to see them really play hard, whichever team plays the Rising Stars team. Nobody's going to want to lose. Nobody's going to want to lose to the Rising Stars team. So that game,
they're going to want to drill them probably too.
Yes, that game, the All-Stars are going to, I think, turn it up. The rest, does this add some kind of competitive nature to the game? Maybe it will. I hope it does. If it doesn't, let's say it's team 2 plays the Rising Stars team, it's the 1v3 game, team 1 versus team 3, assuming the Rising Stars are team 4, the 2 all-stars, regular all-stars. That's the game that I would be really focused on to see, do they actually turn it up here? Or do we get a bunch more no defense? They're going to score 200 points because everybody's dunking and the defenders are just playing Olay defense, and that's that. That's the game that will be the test to determine whether or not this is going to be successful.
Yeah, it's a great point you made about the Rising Stars, because you also know the Rising Stars are going to go really hard at the other, because they're going to want to be like, hey, let's beat the LeBron,
like the college kids going to Team USA,
exactly,
with the dream team.
Yep, yeah, 100%. So here's my thought on it. I am all for it. Like, if we're gonna let's try something, because the way it is right now sucks. The game is by far and away the worst part of All-Star Weekend. It's not even close. So the format, for anybody who hasn't seen it, it's kind of been out there. I think Shams has been the one who's been most on it. There is the format of the 2 semifinal games, if you will. The 2 first games are going to be played to 40. That's going to be the target score. And we don't know, is it going to be win by 2, win by 1, like whatever it is, but a 40-point target score. And then there'll be a break. That's when I imagine they'll do like the halftime concert or whatever it is that they've been doing for years now. Get the guys off their feet for a couple minutes. Then the guys will go warm up again. And then they're going to play a final game to 25 points. It's low enough scores that it should make it competitive enough where, all right, we can actually play kind of hard, because it's not, if they made it first to 100, that's like playing a full real game.
Yeah.
Playing a 40, that's like a half.
And with an 8-man rotation too, that's a lot.
Exactly. Playing a 25, that's like playing a quarter. So I'm okay with it. I'm fine to like try something different. Like I'm all for it, because it doesn't work now. Somebody else said, and I can't find it now, but said, dump this and put the NBA Cup. We're both in favor of that. Like, yeah, play the NBA Cup. Play the semifinals on Friday. Do All-Star Saturday night stuff Saturday. Play the NBA Cup. The problem is you're then changing the entire timing of it. Like, I don't know if teams want to be doing the cup stuff that deep into the season, but there's definitely things you can play with. I think the good news is NBA Cup, expansion stuff, playoff changes, play-in tournament, all-star change, all of it, the league is committed to. We will continue to tweak and adjust and try new things until we find something that really works. And that part, I would hope fans would appreciate, because too many of the leagues are, this is the way we do it, and that's how it'll be, for now and forever. And it's like, I don't think we really need to do that.
Yeah, I think that's true. Is there, and this is a good question, I don't know. I started having the internet issues when this came out. So is there a payout if the team wins this tournament?
There is the All-Star winning team gets it. So my guess is they'll take the All-Star bucket of money, and then they'll readjust it to that. So, and then I'm also curious, is like LeBron, who's like basically like, hey, I show up as late as I'm possibly allowed to, and I leave as early as I am. Is LeBron going to go out there and like score in the wrong basket to be like, oh, we lost, bye everybody, see you later,
and I'm out? Right?
And I get it for him. Like, he's done it 21 times now. So like, why would he even like, I'm being very facetious there and teasing.
No, but you're right. You're right. I mean, Keith, you and I have seen guys who are, it's the game before All-Star Weekend, and they don't even bother showering. They're just like, I'm out. I'm going to go get on a
sweatshirt over there. Literally over like
over their jersey.
Not usually the uniform, but over their like under shirt, and they're out. And they're like, I'll shower on the plane, or at the hotel, wherever I'm going to a beach. See you later.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. It's so funny. That locker room is the funniest one
because nobody wants
every
to talk.
Team's in the same boat, because the ones that are like at the end of the season, some teams are going to the playoffs, some teams are not. It's also like, I might be done here. That one though, everybody's in the same position where it's like, I remember when Vooch made the All-Star team the first time here in Orlando, and like Evan Fournier was like you have to go to Toronto or wherever it was. I'm going to Cozumel. See you later. Like, he's like, who won this? You know, and Vooch is like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess you
I'm going to go hang out on a beach with my family.
Yeah.
You have to,
So,
you have to go to a cold
it.
weather city in February.
So,
all right, let's go here. D-Rock said, if Sean Marks trades everyone significant, I'll be very happy. I want firsts and players on the rookie deals. Any suggestions or wishes we should make? I mean, plenty of guys to trade. That's for sure.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Will you get top quality first for them? Like, I think teams are going to look at a lot of these guys as players that can help, but these also, I wouldn't expect teams to go all in to go get, Dennis Schroeder or something like that. So I would think you'll get a pretty decent return for these guys, but I wouldn't be expecting the world either. Like, you're not getting a top tier rookie and a first round pick or something like that's going to be more reserved for the star level players. But I think you can get some solid pieces. I think firsts are not out of the question. We're talking about Cam Johnson. We're talking. I don't know about Dorian Finney-Smith, about his value with that. The player option for next year, adding some uncertainty and things of that nature. But and maybe it's a different conversation though with Nick Claxton, Keith. Maybe he's somebody who garners a little bit more value out there. But
Cam
these
Thomas,
guys are solid,
really available.
Cam Thomas for sure. He's really the guy, right? To talk about, and that's the one where I think the Bucks even popped up as a potential landing spot for him. Cam Thomas,
part of that
is I think could be big.
Salary so low, so Cam Thomas is a guy. They're like a team that's in a bad spot with the second apron, like the Bucks. He's acquirable for them. A guy like Nick Claxton would be much hard. Not saying because Claxton doesn't even really make sense for them, but like that's a much hard. Cam Johnson makes a ton of sense for the Bucks. That's probably too big of a number to get to realistically. But Cam Thomas, like he makes so little. Like that's an easy number to get to. So because I haven't looked at it enough yet. I'm really not in the trade season yet. Like I'll probably like 2 more weeks out, and then I'll start prepping the early trade season stuff. But D-Rock's spot on it. Like, yeah, try to get some firsts, try to get draft assets and players on rookie scale deals. 100%. I'd be all over that. There, like those are the guys I would want, and I would be looking at like who's a guy on a rookie scale deal that needs like a change of scenery, like before it got declined, but like a Jalen Hood-Schifino, right? Like, hey, we can take a shot on him. Like, that's fine. If the Lakers wanted to send Hood-Schifino and a first for Cam Thomas, all right, I probably need to think about it, right? Like that's the kind of deal that I'm interested in making. That one's not perfect because the Lakers declined his option, so you don't have the surety of having him beyond this year, but those types of guys. But yeah, D-Rock spot on it. That's the return I want too.
Yep, that's definitely what you're looking for. Yep. All right, let's go here. Good to see you both. I'm hoping the Lakers will go to Toronto with D'Lo and Gabe and come back with Bruce Brown and Ochai Agbaji. I don't know about Ochai. If how willing they are to part with him. I think that's
the first in that. That's
that's
not enough of an upgrade for me.
If you're the Lakers,
yeah.
I mean, Bruce Brown has. Am I wrong? Bruce Brown has not played yet, right?
Correct. He is not. He is sounds like he's just starting the ramp up process.
That's what it was. He's just starting to ramp up. It's not. He wasn't just. I was like, I know they played last night, and I obviously was, in caveman times, I wasn't able to see a lot of it, but anyway, Bruce Brown, Ochai Agbaji, give up a first. I probably wouldn't want to part with a first there. I think that's the best package to sort out point of attack defense. Well, I guess part of it too needs to be how convinced are you that Bruce Brown is fully back and he's back to being his Denver Nuggets self?
Because Agbaji's not probably going to be part of your playoff rotation. So that's, I don't know. I would want more. Like I would be aiming higher, I guess, is myself. Yeah. And I'm not like, we should get Giannis with D'Lo and Gabe.
No.
Like that's,
that's
nonsense,
crazy.
Stuff. But I would just, I don't know. I don't think that solves as many issues as it maybe creates. Because the other thing too is you do this, you give up all your second unit ball handling. Like who's going to handle the ball when LeBron's out of the game? I guess that now you have to think about, are you going to put Austin Reeves on the bench because you just need somebody to handle the ball. Like that just gets very weird. Bruce Brown can do some ball handling, but he's not bringing it up. And what's been really interesting that I've noticed, a nice wrinkle, a lot of these teams now, one of the things that nobody does a full court press like
like college.
What was it? Norman Richardson's, right? 40 minutes of hell defense that he, 40, isn't that what it was? Nobody does that right anymore. But like what teams are doing is they're pressing up on ball handlers, especially non-traditional ball handlers, because it just make them work. It takes time off the clock and it wears guys down. You do that. Think about it. You do that to a non-traditional ball handler 40 times a game. That's just extra energy that guy needs to expend. And that would be my fear is, I fully understand the, D'Lo has his issues. I get Gabe Vincent has not been anything, but I don't know. That's not the deal for me.
Gabe Vincent. I'm calling him Captain Cardio, Keith. It's amazing. I don't know how he does it. Okay. Let's move on to this one. JJ says Castillo, not Redick. JJ Redick is still in his dark place right now, I believe.
It'd be amazing if he was checking in here.
That would be great. You know what JJ would do though? JJ would send in a super chat and he would cut it off before he even finished the question because he would be dropping the mic yet again. JJ Castillo said, do you guys think when teams have a players only meeting after the game, that can be a good or a bad thing based on how they've been playing, but puts a bad look on the owner or GM who constructed the roster? Yeah, it's a good question. I think a players only meeting, it means bad things have happened, right? Like that's, you're not having a players only meeting because everything is going great. And that's
the Cavs were having many in their 15-game win streak.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I don't think the Cavs were doing a whole lot of that during their win streak. So it's not a good thing. I'll tell you what, though, Keith, I do not like the vibes coming out of Philly after all of this. I do not. I think it's Joel Embiid's latest comments are such a mess. Yep. It seems like the focus is not we need to get better. And it's who talked, and let's figure this out. Who talked, and they're focusing on that. I hope I'm wrong because it's been a nightmare season so far in Philly. But my God, I mean, guys, you want all this to go away? You want everybody to shut up about all of this? Win games, and none of this matters. And no one's talking about any of this. Just like with so many things in sports, if you win, all the problems go away. If you focus on winning, everything else will be just fine.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, win.
God, they're not even on the screen. There we go. That's how far down the Philadelphia 76ers are. If I have a banner up at the bottom of the screen, it covers them when I show the standings.
Yep. Yeah, it's 100% complete mess in Philly. You don't have players only meetings, or this wasn't a players only. This was coaches were there, but you don't have team meetings like this where things don't go well. And then I thought what was interesting was guys coming out. I mean, Paul George did a whole freaking podcast about it, which what are you doing? Like what?
Right.
Like that doesn't make sense. With that, but
I bet that podcast did great numbers though. So if that's your focus, then hey, big win.
Yeah, without a doubt. So none of it is good. And I don't like the whole idea of like, these guys are like, it's like how guys are like, man, whoever leaked that, like it came out almost like verbatim, the things that were said. Yeah. Like that's probably not good either. I don't like how upset and personal Embiid seems to be taking. Like, it's just weird to me. Like, I don't know. You hit it, nailed it. Vibes are just bad. Like they're just bad in Philly, bad all around. It's not I don't know. They're not a good team right now. Paul George is hurt again. Like, are we having these hyperextensions because something bigger is wrong? Like, is there some looseness in that knee that's causing this? I really don't love it there. Yeah. Like it's tough. So now they're talking about your moment with JJ.
Oh, it's funny. That was funny. Okay. So, Keith, anything else that you want to get into here?
Yeah, there were a couple other things. Story came out. Let's see who had this one. Tim McMahon about Kyrie Irving. He's got his player option. This was on the Hoop Collective. McMahon basically saying he thinks Irving will decline that option, but with the idea of like signing a longer term deal with the Mavericks, which that's exactly my expectation on that situation as well. It has been really interesting to see. Have we heard a single like weird negative Kyrie story since he got traded there?
No,
It's been nothing. Like he's just playing ball, which is great, right? Like that's it's that good, right? Like, and he's also been playing great. Like
crazy to say, but 76ers take note here from Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
Follow Kyrie's example here.
Yeah,
just play basketball and everything will be fine.
Cade Cunningham went out with a hip injury last night. We're waiting for more on that.
He's been so good. I didn't see that. Oh my gosh.
Vince Williams Jr. is out 4 weeks. Now he's got a sprained ankle.
He just came back too.
D'Anthony Melton is out for the season with ACL surgery. This sounds very harsh to put it this way, but you guys know at times we have to turn off the feelings and just discuss things this way. Good chance the Warriors will trade him by the trade deadline. So that's $12 million in matching salary. And here's the thing. That also, if they trade him, because he's an expiring contract, they can re-sign him next summer. So you might as well use it. Remember, not the Rubio retirement trade drama, but remember when Rubio got traded from, was it Cleveland, Indiana, and then re-signed with Cleveland? Like that generally happens. So yeah, Melton is out for the season. Yeah, he's got to have ACL surgery. He has a partial tear. This was Nate Duncan brought this up, so credit to him. A lot of times these partial tears, the recommendation is just have the surgery as if it was a full tear, because you're rarely going to be able to get it back the way you need to in the amount of time to contribute this season. So Elfrid Payton, did you, I know you were kind of out of it. He signed in the morning and then started and played 30 minutes that night for the Pelicans.
Unbelievable.
And actually played pretty well. He in a game where they, albeit lost by 40 points, but he looked okay. So what a disaster. Like just a complete.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw Keith, I'm sure you did. You were much more connected than I was. But I believe it was the top 8 salaries on the Pelicans were all out. All out. Like that's
they
insane.
had their top. I want to say it was outside of Yves Missy, who was questionable. They had their top 8 or 9 guys that they thought would be their rotation all missed the same game. Daniel Tice didn't. He just didn't play. Because right now, I think they're like, why are we going to put Miles on Daniel Tice to, play 20 minutes to get drilled by, 40 points? So it is, bad. They're on the screen though. At least
they're on the screen. I mean,
Utah.
They're above Utah. Yeah. Utah's 3-12. But I mean, look at the Pelicans. Well, they're 1-9.
Yeah,
they're 4-12 on the season, but they're 1-9 in their last 10. They've got the worst point differential in the Western Conference. And this team plays hard. I went to New Orleans and saw them in person. They competed. They really crashed the offensive glass. They were great there, but you're missing so many players.
Yeah, there's just not enough talent.
I mean, what do you like? On one hand, you look at this and you say, okay, they're 4.5 games back here, whatever, of a play-in spot. And there's a lot of season left, but in the West, I mean, this is quickly slipping away here from the Pelicans. At what point do the Pelicans pivot, or do you think they have already, and just say it's a lost season? Let's look for silver linings, a la Memphis last season with Gigi Jackson and Vince Williams and Jake LaRavia getting more opportunities. At what point does Memphis make that pivot?
Here's one
New Orleans. I meant New Orleans.
Here's one of the challenges for the Pels. It's not like they're like flush with young guys. You're like, yeah, we can play all these guys. Like they're just, it's kind of a loaded up roster because of all the injuries. They're not going anywhere. I would say it sounds like CJ McCollum is close. Sounds like DeJounte Murray is starting to do on-court work again. I would let's give it one more run when some of these guys get back, see what we look like. And then if we get to the middle of January, so roughly call it a month and a half, or really a month and a half, 2 months. We're not there. Let's have serious conversations about what's, if we're still in 14th in the conference, then now let's tear it off. Let's bottom this thing out. Let's go get a high draft pick. And to our point earlier in the show, let's go add one of these really great players to this roster that then if they get healthy next year, all of a sudden it's like, well, that's how you get great teams in the West over and over and over again, right?
Exactly.
Pelicans, to no fault of their own, bottom out. Then they add a great player, and here we go. But
yeah, they capture the flag.
Yeah, exactly. My bigger thing is it's time to start thinking about some long-term conversations with the amount of guys who have missed time and are starting to be, is CJ McCollum going to be healthy full seasons anymore? Where are we at with Zion? Like it's, those are some of the things you're not having them publicly, but internally, right? Your David Griffin staff and ownership, you're sitting down. One thing I will say, because people asked, this is a very popular question while you were on your little back in caveman days. People were like, why did they waive Jalen Noel inside, not use a hardship exception? They are eligible for several hardship exceptions. They're over the tax. So every dollar you add is more money they want to shed. And I'll repeat it. The Pelicans have never paid the tax in franchise history. They are not paying the tax in a year where they're probably not going to be a playoff team. That's not going to be the first time. So every dollar you add is a dollar you have to get rid of later down the line in the season. Right now, they're far enough, like they're, I guess, close enough to the tax line. One or two moves, you can shed salary, get out of the tax, and go. So just something to think about.
Yeah, it's a tough situation right now.
Yeah, I'm just bouncing through. It's kind of, these are super goofy like things, but shout out to Russell Westbrook, 200th career triple double. Like, okay, like we made it a stat for a while there. So
it's an impressive accomplishment. That's for sure.
Yeah. There's
that's
longevity and really good play. I went back and looked. He averaged a triple double either 2 or 3 times, including with the Wizards. Like I didn't even remember that he had a triple double with that.
It's almost like once he did it, the first time he did it, it was like a big deal, and then it's like, oh, he's doing this again. It wasn't. It wasn't as
well. And then they started becoming not as efficient, and then that's when remember there was like, they let him get all, like their whole thing is the other 4 guys box out so he can get the rebounds and all that other stuff. And I remember people were like, like 8 of his rebounds per game should go to Steven Adams, but Steven Adams lets him get them with that. Let's see. Just quick stories here. Luka Doncic is out a week with a sprained right wrist. I only bring it up a week. Normally we wouldn't go over it. It's his shooting hand. Let's keep an eye. If that becomes like a lingering thing, remember Bojan Bogdanovic went through it last year and never really got it right, and ultimately had to have surgery. So that's something I think we want to keep an eye on a little bit there with Luka. Patrick Williams, Alonzo Ball are at least out a week. Chris Middleton's story was a little weird. Why did someone in the Bucks want to put it out there that he's still ramping up? Like that seemed a little odd to me. That he's cleared to play. In the way it was phrased in the story, the quote was, he's been cleared for a while now, but he doesn't feel good enough to play.
That's right.
So that's something. There's just something weird with that story there. But Bucks they're now getting the wins that they should be starting to get and playing better. They're 5-5 in their last 10, which is a heck of a lot better than where they were sitting a couple weeks ago. So I think they've won 4 out of the last 5, and the one loss was that weird loss in Charlotte where the phantom foul on LaMelo Ball, which wasn't a thing there. So, I think that kind of catches us up. I thought there was one more, and I can't remember what it was now. Oh, the Rockets. I thought that was just funny. The Rockets came out and said, we're not interested in trading for Giannis. We don't want to break up our young core. Okay, thanks.
Right. Sure, I saw that, and I'm like, there's no way. If Milwaukee called the Rockets and said, hey, we just saw this story, because that we're surprised. We were actually thinking about getting into trade talks for Giannis with you. The Rockets would immediately go, "Oh, we're interested."
Now we're interested. Sure,
we're interested. No, they're just putting that. They're like, You might as well say it, because then it makes all your guys feel like, oh, cool. They don't want to trade us. But if the Rockets really called, or the Bucks really called them up and said, hey, want to talk Giannis trade? Of course they would want to talk Giannis trade. Like 29 teams would say yes. I don't care where they're at, what stage they're at in the building process. 29 teams, if the Bucks called them up and said, we want to talk Giannis trade, they are taking that call. They're probably sounding an alarm in their company Slack saying, OMG, Giannis trade talks. Let's figure this out.
Yeah.
There's no way they're not interested in Giannis.
Yeah, back in my single days, I was not interested in a date with Jennifer Aniston either. So we're all on the same page. We can conveniently ignore she never called and asked, but I wasn't interested. She must have just known. That's why not to call.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I think Isaiah Hartenstein's back, so that's great for the Thunder. And looked really good. And I thought an important point that Mark Daigneault called out, the Thunder coach. Because it was a broken hand, he was able to still run and keep his conditioning up. So there was no minutes restriction. He was able to just do his thing. So, that's the difference, right? Sometimes the leg injuries are way worse, take a much bigger ramp up period because you have to work back into shape to play. Hartenstein did everything he could do, once the hand was stabilized. So, and he looked really good, man. You could kind of see, like, they get Chet back. They got him. That team's they're not that they're not already really good. I don't mean to suggest that, but they go from being good to like an absolute, like, I don't know how you beat a monster.
Yep.
Like they're going to be that good. So
they're going to be fantastic.
So but there it is. We're back. We're
back.
Cranking. I'll call out too, just because we like to call it out here. Basketball bulletin. I've been doing game notes just about every day. I took today off because we got family in town. That's why we're going to cut this here in just a couple minutes, because I'm going to run to lunch with them. But then I put up a bunch of scouting notes. So if you're interested in a bunch of the prospects for the 2025 draft, I put out notes on 28 players yesterday, and that is free and unlocked for everybody to read. But going forward, we will be putting a paywall on the draft content somewhere. You'll get a little bit of it, just like you do with the game notes. And then the game notes, I have been working in clips in every one I put out, where you can watch clips of some of the plays that stood out to me from each night. And I try to really break it down. And shout out to a bunch of people emailed and were like, here's the best way to stitch together clips and make it like one seamless thing. And it worked really good. I did a clip of Anthony Black had 5 great assists. And I was able to stitch all those together, and that was awesome. So I'm trying to get better with that kind of stuff. I'm old, but you can teach this stuff.
Figure it out.
Tricks. Yeah. It went with people up and out. And then shout out to a guy today in the mentions said he said Substack articles. There's actually a feature you can listen to them. So he listens to them like a podcast now, which he's like, why do you guys never put this out there? And I was like, because I didn't know that was the thing. So now that's out there too. Cool. You can you can listen to it as a podcast. And then I apologize, I have one other thing. Knicks fan reached out and I think said he can't watch the show today, so he can be in the chat, but he wanted to know how we feel about Jalen Brunson. Hey, I'm fine with it. I think Jalen Brunson's done a nice job shifting into playmaker mode more so in the last few games. He's making sure everybody eats. And that's so important with that Knicks team. You can't have too many possessions where, like, Cat's going to get his because that's who he is. You have too many possessions where Bridges, Anunoby, and Hart are just, hey, play defense, run up and down. If it comes your way, you have to involve those guys to keep them engaged. And I think Brunson's done a good job dialing back his own offense for the betterment of everybody. And their offense, I mean, it's so weird. It's a Tibbs team, but their offense is like this machine that scores. So I wanted to call that question out too. So
good call out there by you. The basketball bulletin, I did actually start while I was down last night. Started writing something for the basketball bulletin. Hopefully I can get that up here over the weekend. And then, of course, the basketball bulletin YouTube channel, I've got that off and thriving. You guys should check that out as well if you haven't already subscribed. Or drop the link to those in the chat here over on the YouTube side. So check those out. I can finally get some new stuff up now that I've got Now that I've actually got service back. So that's what I'm going to be spending the rest of my day on. I've got some Lakers stuff to put out over on Lakers Nation. I'll do some stuff over on Basketball Bulletin. So be on the lookout for all of that. But have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Keith, enjoy your family time.
Yeah, I'm really excited. My folks are in town, so we're spending some time with them. And then, guys, next week we will be here, but it'll be a little bit of a weird week with the holiday and all that stuff. But we'll fill you in on that as we go. We'll figure out how to do a live show at some point next week. It might be Front Office Friday on a Wednesday or something, but we'll figure it all out.
Keith, we will talk about it next week, but I haven't told you this yet. I'm gonna be doing Home Alone for Thanksgiving.
Oh, nice!
I've got the run of the house for Thanksgiving. So I think it means I need to set up an elaborate system of booby traps to
let me get inside first, and then we'll hang out. And I'll help you.
There we go. We'll do a live show.
Bandits?
We'll eat some turkey. We'll watch Home Alone or something. It'll be great.
Yeah, and I'll make you go to bed at 9:30 with me when I go to bed.
That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. I have to take my wife and daughter to the airport at like 3:30 in the morning. I'm like, well, I'll still be awake. So
yeah, that's true. This weekend the F1 race is in Las Vegas, and our daughter has already informed us she's a huge F1 fan. I don't understand it and know why, but she is, and the stuff doesn't start till like 1 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's nighttime in Vegas. Here you go, Trevor. Leon G says, makes you feel any better when waiting on internet to be fixed at my house for over a month.
Oh my God.
How do you
I would move before that.
Yeah.
I couldn't handle myself like last night. I could not handle it.
I'd burn it down. I'd go and burn down the internet company too. And
yes, probably.
Yeah. Or at that point, I'd just give up and move to like the mountains somewhere and just be a mountain man. And I'd last
I'd be like Ron Swanson. Yep.
Yeah.
Just run away from my
last a day and a half, and then I'd be like, all right, I need back in civilization. All right, guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks for being patient with us this week. We love you all. We just stuff happens sometimes, so we'll leave it at that.
Thank you, everybody. Till next time. See ya, and stay safe.